Hi folks, this is Julie Henriquez from Your Ladders, and thanks so much for joining me today for this Facebook Live. I'm looking forward to having the conversation. I don't know where you live, but here in New England, you're feeling just that hint of snow, as my friend David would say. It smells like snow outside, and I know that some other parts of the country have already been walloped. So I hope everyone is safe and hanging in there. I wanted to take some time today to do a couple of things. In the blog post this week, I talked about small steps, and so I wanted to drill down on what I mean by setting big goals and having small steps associated with them. I also wanted to answer any questions folks might have about the business blueprint for performing artists. It's a course that I've developed to help artists over obstacles in their path. And those obstacles are a lack of knowledge about some business skills that artists aren't taught in their programs or in school, or they haven't developed specifically with that artistic lens. So I've created a course, and all the content I work on in Your Ladders is about building ladders over those obstacles. I feel really strongly about this. I also know that understanding business has helped me tremendously as I've been navigating my path. So I'm sharing some knowledge that I've also learned. But let's talk about setting big goals and having small steps, small incremental steps. As part of opening my own business, which is what Your Ladders is, I have been reading blog posts and listening to podcasts and reading books and in discussions and learning a ton of things that I've learned a long time ago. Several years ago, I took a Franklin Covey class called What Matters Most. And that was about discovering and thinking about big goals and then how to break them down into manageable tasks. But one of the conversations I've heard several times from several different areas, most specifically from a woman named Brooke Castillo in a podcast that she did, is about setting big goals, right? Big goals, big, maybe feeling unattainable goals, and then daily doing some action towards those goals. And in the blog post I wrote, I used my example. I have 4 big goals for this year. And they're all big, they're big, audacious goals. And one of them is to lose some weight. And so when I think about that, and I think about what my goals, how I'm going to get there by the end of the year, because it's not a small amount that I've decided to set out for myself. I need to make daily actions towards that goal in order to reach it, right? I can't keep eating junk food or not move or drink soda and expect that I'm going to lose weight. I need to take daily action. When I decided to go try to move from being a writer to a published author, it's great to put the intention out there. And I just sent out an email to folks about this. It's important to put the intention out. I am a writer or I am an artist. But you need to back those intentions up with action. And that action can include things like taking a class for my writing life, right? It was going to conferences and meeting people and joining Sisters in Crime and learning how to write a query letter and taking every opportunity I could to pitch agents and to take advantage of opportunities as they came up and to slowly work towards it. It still took me over 15 years to become a published writer because it's a long game. And I wouldn't have it any other way in some ways. And I'm still published, which is great. But then you go on to that next set of goals of staying published and building up a career. But that's a separate life than my writer life. My writer life, I still take classes and I figure things out and I rethink how I'm doing characters, or I learn about plotting, and that's all really helpful. But you need the other skills in order to take the professional leap. So the reason I created Your Ladders is to give artists specifically some professional skills so that they can take those leaps. And though I teach classes in planning and budgeting and income, income plans and on marketing. They're all taught through the artistic lens. They're all taught for artists. I don't, the budgets I talk about are specifically geared towards folks who are in the performing arts. And when I teach students, I taught a class on budgeting yesterday, and when I teach students about budgeting, for example, because that can be the castor oil of subjects, right? I mean, when we all talk about budgets, there are money issues involved, and there's all kinds of things that we put in our way of success there. But when I think about budgets, I also think about the fact that as an artist, you need to make intentional decisions about budgets. If you want to pay artists, that needs to go into the budget, and your income plan needs to give you a way to make that happen, right? If your mission is to create new work, then you need to spend more money on development of that new work. So that you can adequately support it. And your marketing budget probably needs a little bit more of a boost so that you can get people excited about this opportunity to see this new work. So the intentionality and active decision making around the business decisions in your life are part of your artist path. And even if you don't want to produce work, but you want to up your career, you need to make intentional decisions about that as well. You need to understand what you need to do as an artist to make sure that you're out there, to support yourself, to figure out what your mission is as an artist, and make sure that everything you do is supporting that, to make sure folks can find you. All of those things are so important, and I think sometimes neglected. We think that by putting the intention out there and doing the work on the artist side of, getting coaches and taking classes and doing everything else you do and getting good headshots and everything else that you do to support yourself as an artist, that's enough, but it isn't always enough. You need to have the extra boost. You need to understand how to play the long game. And that's why I've created Your Ladders. And the business blueprint for performing artists is a business blueprint. It's a very comprehensive course that I've developed over the past 6 months for Your Ladders, but I've been doing for a long time since. But you also need to think about or take advantage of the other resources I've put up. I've got videos on the blog and on YouTube, and I have some other things that you can download on the site so that you can start thinking about this. I think sometimes fear is what doesn't move us forward. I think that fear of success can actually be a stopper, right? Like, if I learn this, then I have to actually know, I have to implement it. And but this is a mindset shift that I'm working on as well, as I'm exploring this new business and I'm figuring stuff out. But it's a mindset shift we all need to make. And as all of you in the performing arts, and this, I know you're actors and directors and playwrights and producers and teachers and, folks who are doing it as a profession, or folks who are doing it as an avocation, folks who are doing it or supporting others doing it. You're running community theaters, small theaters, fringe theaters. You want to produce your own work. There are all kinds of folks out there. You're a teacher who's got to produce a couple of shows a year. I want you to embolden yourself and empower your work by understanding the business skills that you need. And in my estimation, they include planning, they include budgeting for expenses, they include figuring out your income streams and planning ahead for them, and they include a solid marketing plan. In addition, they include understanding how to pitch and talk about your work so that it matters to the audiences you're talking to. The business blueprint for performing artists that I've created does all of those things. has 3 different classes in this one course. Each class has several lessons. There are videos. You can get a worksheet for the different lessons. You take them at your own pace. You can retake them at any time. And for this first inaugural launch, I've added some great bonuses that include a class I've developed called Spotlight on Spreadsheets that will teach you how to use a spreadsheet in general, and also specifically for budgeting and for audience development and for your career tools. I also have a webinar on pitching. I have a resource library. I'm going to be doing 3 live webinars in March for folks taking the business blueprint, one on each of the different classes. And for this inaugural launch, I am offering something that I won't be offering as part of this package in the future, and that is a half-hour call with me so that I can talk to you about anything you want to. I can answer questions about any of the classes you've taken, or we can brainstorm together how to apply them to your work, or I can give you some guidance. After many years of doing this work, I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of different things, and I've worked in a lot of different areas, so I can also help you with that. So that package together is going to be available through midnight on Thursday, and I will put the registration link in the comments here. I hope that you'll join me. Now is the time, right? Inaction isn't the opportunity. It's actually time to take some action. And again, your big goals are your big goals, but incremental steps, learning how to do things, figuring out how to plan, knowing the difference between your mission statement and your unique value statement. That's something I covered in a webinar that I did last week on creating a plan. Is critical no matter who you are, no matter what your path. And they're interesting exercises that you can do at any time. I encourage you to do them. I think that having this solid foundation is what will let you leap and what will let you move forward. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And certainly the business blueprint is one way to do it, but the other thing you can do to help yourself move forward when it gets frustrating, and it does get frustrating. In so many other careers, if you do everything right, you've got a natural progression. In the arts, you're on a roller coaster ride, right? And that's really frustrating sometimes. But if you break things down into, this is my long-term goal, but for today, for right now, here are the 3 things I want to do. I'm going to find myself a URL and start thinking about building a website. So I'm going to start collecting some photos from shows I've been in, or I've designed, or I've directed, or plays that I've written. And I'm just going to start putting them all in a Google Drive. And that's the goal for today. It's an incremental step towards the bigger goal of your career. And taking those incremental steps is really important. Figuring out what they are and what they need to be might be a different conversation. So this is what I wanted to do this live about today. And I'm going to look at my phone to see if you have any questions on this. And I apologize, I should have done that earlier. Because this is what, have any questions? And now I'm going to start drive myself crazy. This, I apologize. I don't have any questions from anybody, and if I do, I want you to know that you can leave a comment here, and I'm happy to answer any questions. You can also email me at julie@yourladders.com with any questions about the business blueprint, about anything else you want to. And if you would leave a comment, if you watch this and you have a comment about any other subject you'd like me to cover, registration's done for this session of the class tomorrow, but Your Ladders is going to keep moving on. So if there's something you have a question about, or you need advice about, or you think would be an interesting topic to talk about, leave it in the comments or email me with it, and I'd love I would love to approach that and figure that out. I want your ladders to help you on your path. I want your ladders to help you take a creative leap. I want your ladders to help you empower your career and your path forward as you define it. And I am really proud of the class that I've created and the work that I do. But I'm also proud of you for saying intentionally that you're an artist and being willing to take those steps forward. So I thank you very much for listening to this Facebook Live. Again, if you would like to ask me any questions, that would be great. You could do it here. You can also email me at julie@yourladders.com. And I thank you for doing your work. And if you're interested in registering for the Business Blueprint for Performing Artists, I encourage you to do so, because the package I've put together with the class and the bonuses is a great deal, and it's pretty exciting, and it won't be offered this way ever again. So now is the time to take that leap. Thank you so much, and I will see you next Wednesday at 2 o'clock here on Facebook to talk about the content that I'm sending out Monday, and also to answer any questions you have about anything. Thank you for doing your work. Have a great week. Bye now.